I built a retro gaming station and it went horribly wrong. It all started when I bought this Windows 98 PC and CRT combo off of Facebook Marketplace. Here's it booting up. Now, this computer that I came with was a little too old for what I'm trying to do. The main thing I wanted from this combo was the monitor. First things first, I need to build the table. We'll use some editing magic and it's done. Now it's time to build the PC that will actually drive this setup. I got this one from my older brother and I was hoping to salvage the parts from it. So I opened it up and, well, this PC has definitely seen some better days. Well, anyways, the main thing I needed from it was the graphics card because that has VGA out, and that lets me drive the VGA monitor directly. No digital to analog conversion in the middle. Backup plan. My dad had an office PC he wasn't using anymore, so I grabbed that, installed the GPU, and booted it up. And, well, it works. I wasn't sure what was actually in this thing, so I opened up Task Manager, and it showed an Intel i3 4160 and 8GB of DDR3. I never installed drivers for the GPU, and I was a little too lazy to figure it out on my own, so I did the most logical thing possible and ChatGPT'd it. Apparently it's a GT610. I ripped out the parts of the office PC, bought a mini ITX case and motherboard, and started building. Well, here's the finished product in all its lack of glory. 80% of this CPU fan is covered by the power supply. There's no case fan because I couldn't open the front panel with my trashy screwdriver, and it's a rat nest of cables in there. Frankly, I didn't care, so I booted up this fire hazard anyway, and for some odd reasons, the temps were fine. So, I'll roll with it. Finally, I could see the finish line in sight. All I had to do was flash Batocera Linux to a USB and install it. So I flashed Batocera, plugged in the USB, booted it up, and nothing. Black screen. The monitor power light is on, so it's getting a signal. It's just a signal of nothing. After a lot of troubleshooting, I figured out that the current version of Batocera doesn't support the legacy Nvidia drivers my GT610 needs. To my luck, there is an official legacy image of Batocera made exactly for old Nvidia cards. So I decided to flash that instead. Still nothing. So I SSH'd in and checked the kernel log, and there it is. It's not a GT610, it's a Geforce 210. ChatGPT lied to me, and my laziness and not checking beforehand cost me days of troubleshooting, when I could have just read the label on the back of the card. The 210 is from 2009, and the driver it needs doesn't exactly exist in any version of Batocera I can reasonably run. So at this point, I wasn't really sure what to do. Here's the thing about this setup. The plan was to render everything on the GPU because the 610 would have been powerful enough for the emulation I wanted. But unfortunately I don't have a 610, I have a 210, which is way too underpowered. In fact, it's actually weaker than the integrated graphics inside my i3. So the logical move is to skip the GPU entirely and render everything on the integrated graphics instead. One problem, my motherboard has no VGA out, and a digital analog converter is still a no-go for me. Then I figured out, why can't I just render everything on the integrated graphics and display out of the graphics card? And after some research, that's a real thing. It's called reverse prime. Here's how it works. So it starts out with the Intel graphics, it's copied over to the Geforce 210, and then it's out the VGA port into the CRT. I enabled multi-GPU in the BIOS, and in Batocera I wrote a configuration file that explicitly tells the system to render on the integrated graphics and push the display out through the Nvidia card. That took me days to figure out, but hey, it worked. So now I can just sit back, relax, and play my games. Everything worked except PlayStation 2. It launches like this, in a corner. I went through everything. Video mode settings, full screen settings, I switched emulators entirely, and that one just crashed instantly. I even measured the broken window over SSH while it was open. 1152 by 972. It's not full screen failing halfway, it's a regular desktop window that never went full screen at all. So it just looks like a game floating in the corner. What I did originally is I wrote a script that waits for the window to appear and shoves it to full screen. It worked, however, it didn't really look instantaneous. A few days later, playing from my bed, I found the actual answer by accident, the renderer. So what happened is Batocera's automatic setting was automatically having it use OpenGL, and OpenGL for some reason has a problem on Batocera, so I switched to Vulkan instead. The irony of this is my hardware is barely Vulkan compatible on paper, but hey, it worked. So the system works. At this point I could be done, but one thing was still bothering me. The boot splash had this weird bug. It would play the sound but not the video. Just audio over a black screen. I figured it was a resolution thing. My setup isn't exactly standard, so I went through the configuration files and tried everything. Delaying the startup, changing the resolution, writing rules to force it to the right output. Nothing worked. So over SSH, I ran the boot splash manually to see what it would actually say, and it printed an error. The video player needed a modern display feature that my 2009 graphics card driver never got. That means no configuration file, no setting, nothing I do will ever fix this. The player and the card just don't work together. Now, I could have just disabled the boot splash, but that felt really lame to me. I really wanted that console experience with this box. So I checked whether there was another way to play the video at boot, and there was. I can't really install anything on here because Batocera doesn't come with a package manager, but luckily there was another video player pre-installed, VLC. Luckily VLC is a very old software, so it can work with my card. So I modified Batocera's startup script to play the splash screen through VLC instead. So that's my machine, done and working as intended. If you look at my channel, this is my first ever video. I'm relatively new to Linux and to working with systems at a lower level. That's kind of why I created this channel in the first place. I wanted to document my journey of building my understanding of how computers actually work and improving my technical skills. So expect more projects like this. Anyways, thanks for watching.
This mission, you are expected to make whatever sacrifices are necessary.
Combat operation. We have shot down the enemy. down the